I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yes. The answer is yes. And I've eaten it. I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful, and my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I, they were just, my sister and I as far as siblings, my mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man.
And delicious, seriously.
My dad loves cow
My
brain.
sister always got it, or my dad.
A fight over the brain. Jerry?
A fight over the brain. Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. It is Thirsty Thursday, and it is a great time if you are an NFL fan, because you are going to get overloaded as we roll down to the end of the season with football. We got, of course, tonight, Denver against the Chargers. Surprisingly, a very, very big game. We're talking about the Denver Broncos at 9-5 versus the Chargers at 8-6. You know, it's funny because Sean Payton got laughed at last year when he got rid of Russell Wilson, when he came in and just kind of cleaned house. Now, quietly, Denver is one of the up-and-coming better teams in the NFL. And you might want to wonder, well, what if the Cowboys had pulled the trigger and brought in Sean Payton? But the problem with that was you had Mike McCarthy on a contract, and we know the Cowboys want to make sure that they get every nickel out of the penny that they pay, even if it hurts them. Even if it hurts them. But yes, people thought that Sean Payton had lost his coaching edge. And here we are. They're 9-5, could be a 10-win team taking on the Chargers. And then, of course, Saturday we have the Houston Texans 9-5 going against the Kansas City Chiefs with a hurt Pat Mahomes with a ankle sprain that are 13-1. Some people think they will be the Super Bowl champions again. Also on Saturday we have Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. Surprisingly, Pittsburgh, nobody thought that they would have a better record than the Baltimore Ravens at 10-4, coming off the loss to the Eagles. But wait, there's more. There's games on Sunday. There are games on Monday. There's 3 games on Christmas. It's about to get crazy and about to be on overload, so I hope you guys will join us here because, well, for our Cowboys, let's talk some reality here. Okay. I keep hearing everybody talking about playoffs. Yes, we're talking about playoffs. The reality of playoff hopes for us. Let's be clear here. The Eagles are soaring, okay? The Lions, well, they're right there, but they've got the tougher road to hoe. I hate to say it, but the Eagles have the inside shot at getting home field advantage. And as Philly 500 put it yesterday, well, you know, Dak Prescott's got 2 playoff wins. And I say, yeah, well, Jalen Hurts has got 2 playoff wins against, Danny Dimes, and Jack Johnson, something like that. That's his 2 playoff wins. So I'm not sure that really counts because you've lost to Tampa Bay twice. But be that as it may, they're in a hell of a lot better position than we are, and they face the Washington Commanders. We got the Vikings sitting there as the number 3 seed at the moment, leading their division, and we've got the Buccaneers right there leading their division at the 3rd seed. We got the Rams in the wild card chase at 8-6. So there you have it. We're not catching them. We're not catching them, guys. We would need them to lose all of their games, okay? And they play the Jets this week. So they're going to be at 9 wins, more than likely, by this weekend. and you've got the Packers at 10-4 as another wild card team. You ain't catching them. The best you can hope for is 9-8. The only chance that you really have is catching the Commanders that are 9-5, and you would need them to lose to the Eagles for us to beat them and beat Tampa Bay, and and we'd have to win out. So we'd have to win Tampa Bay, against the Eagles, and against Washington, and need Washington to lose all three of theirs. And as we go down here, here's the other problem. It's not just the Commanders, because lurking right behind there at 8-6 is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, they do take on the Minnesota Vikings, so it's possible that they lose that and that they could drop a little more, but we'd need them basically to lose all of their games. You got the Falcons at 7-7. Okay, the Falcons play the Giants this weekend. More than likely a win, which will get them to 8 wins. You got the Cardinals that are taking on the Carolina Panthers this weekend. More than likely, they should get a win and go to 8-7. 49ers, who are in the same boat as us, and what I want you to pay attention to it down here is, if you look at the percentage, playoff percentages, okay? For the Cardinals, if they lose, they have a 3% chance. If they win, they have a 16% chance, and they currently have an 11. Here's where it gets to be interesting. San Francisco, if you notice, there's a little chevron right there. 49ers playoff possibility if they lose less than 1%. Currently, less than 1%. If they win, less than 1%. You've got all of those teams ahead of you. And then, of course, there's us with Tampa Bay. 49ers, mind you, have Miami. We've got Tampa Bay this weekend. And as you see, our playoff possibilities, whether we win or lose, basically are the same. Less than 1%. That's it. So now the real question becomes is, what's going to happen with this team going forward? And I wish I knew. We've got Mike McCarthy, love and support now that the team has a losing record, more support than after they had a 12-5 season and lost in the first round of the playoffs. I can't understand it, but hey, it is what it is. If they are going to, and I guess the reason they're waiting to get the extension is they're looking at these next 3 games. You potentially are playing against 3 playoff teams. We know that at least one of them is going to be the number 2 seed, and Washington more than likely will be the 7th seed. And you got Tampa Bay that's got something to fight for. So my thinking is if they get a win on any of those games, that Mike McCarthy is a shoo-in to come back. From the names that are out there for being the head coach, from the Kellen Moores, and I have to say, I don't see what Kellen Moores brought to the offense. What was brought to that offense is Saquon Barkley. And when you talk about Cliff Kingsbury, the disaster that was the Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray, he may just be a great offensive coordinator. I'm not sure that that's going to be a better move. The Ben Johnson's not going to come here. I don't see that happening. And the Bills' offensive coordinator, Joe Bradley, young up-and-coming coach, who right now is probably at the peak because of what the Buffalo Bills are doing. I'm not sure that he'd want to come here as his first gig because that could literally ruin you going forward. Yeah, you can be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, but you're not really controlling anything. So I'm not sure there's a lot of great options out there other than maybe some retreads that are sitting on the sidelines. Once Bill Belichick went and with Dion basically saying, I'm staying in college, I don't know that there's a great option for the Cowboys other than standing pat. But wouldn't it be poetic justice if Mike McCarthy, that the Joneses literally say, hey, we want to give you an extension and things, because we have no other options that are better. So, Mike, we love you. if he turned around and said, I'm still kind of pissed after that Green Bay game, the way you treated me, and left them standing at the altar? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be crazy? Because I sit here and think about Dan Quinn. The Dan Quinn situation is kind of funny because you may remember Dan Quinn going around doing interviews and, checking with everybody here, there, and elsewhere. The Cowboys didn't actively seek somebody to replace him. I think the Cowboys assumed he was just going to come back. Who would leave the Cowboys willingly? And they were shocked when he did. And on the way out, basically said, tomorrow isn't promised. Maybe that was a foreshadowing that, letting the Joneses know, you screwed up when you had the opportunity. I was here. We had the defense rolling. You had, Dak Prescott healthy and things that you should have been putting pieces in right then and there, not to miss that opportunity, because tomorrow isn't promised. The Cowboys just assumed, well, hey, we're 12-5 without trying. We'll be a good team no matter what we do, and it doesn't work that way. In my mind, I always say this: when you're not getting better, you're getting worse, because everybody out there is watching and learning from what you're doing, and they find ways to do it better, more efficiently, cheaper than you. That's why you always see these great businesses, these big companies that and everything else, and somehow they're replaced. When MySpace came out, they thought, we're the big kahuna. We've arrived. And then Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And I can guarantee you that these platforms, sometime in the near future, will be replaced by the next thing. So, yeah, you constantly have to evolve and get better, or you will be left behind. And that's what happened to the Cowboys. They stuck with status quo, with we're just going to be believing in our guys, and we're going to bottom tier shop. Now we have kind of a renaissance because they're pounding their chest and saying, we had 7 undrafted players out on the field at the same time when we beat the Carolina Panthers. That's great. That's great that you could field a team with players that weren't drafted that could beat the Carolina Panthers. Does that same team beat the Eagles? Does that same team beat the Lions, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens? No. It's great. You found guys that can be players and starters and backups, but you still are not good enough to win it all. And it goes all back to the brain trust of the Cowboys. I don't blame this season on Dak. I don't blame this season on Mike McCarthy or Mike Zimmer. I blame this season on the Joneses that let go 9 starters and brought in 2 free agents, Zeke Elliott and Eric Kendricks. That's where I put it all on. You have to have the tools to do the job. I can't build a house with a teaspoon. Just can't. If I don't have the tools to do it, to do the job, I can't do the job. You can say I'm a terrible carpenter because you can't hammer nails with the spoon. What? You're an app. You suck. Replace him. If the next guy's got to come in and build the house with a spoon, you're going to get the same results. And that's where it starts with the Joneses. And what they need to do is, by the end of the first week of them being out, they need to have either extended Mike McCarthy or fired Mike McCarthy. They need to do that sooner than later. Get it done. You believe in him? Get the contract underneath here. Get some stability. You got the players. your key players, talking about what they want, what they need. How about instead of putting everybody on edge and making them worry about, if I'm going to have a job, how about instead of making them the enemy, you make them part of the family? How about we do that? How about we listen to the coaches? How about we listen to the players? And we all get together to say, what is the best thing to do for winning? Not for making more money, you got enough. I think that being the highest valued franchise in any sport, you got enough money. What you need to go with that is winning, because winning will be even more money. We're going to finish this off, and I'm going to hit the road because I got to take care of some business today. So I'll be back at the Man Cave tonight for Thursday Night Football for that Denver Chargers game.
Listen, Tuesdays in the NFL have been reacting to the Monday Nighter. And then hearing Jerry Jones on his local radio chit-chat. And sometimes Jerry's real chippy, as we know. Remember, he sounded like he threatened the two hosts that interviewed him.
With their jobs.
And you're like, I can go over your head anytime. I can pull the rights anytime. I mean, we're paraphrasing.
I own this station.
We're reading between his lines there. Other times he's just cheerful, and ready for any action to mix it up. And, now the Cowboys season is down to its final 3 games, the all-in season that TJ, I think you rightfully pinpointed the moment, as you said the other day, very vividly, that the Cowboys season ended the minute the hamstring ripped off the bone inside of Dak Prescott's leg.
When they decide to separate.
And because the season was already on the brink when that happened for the Cowboys in Atlanta back in Week 9. Already on the brink. And so now it's just, how are they playing? How are they finishing up? And to finish up, the host did ask Jerry Jones a couple weeks ago, what do you need to see from Mike McCarthy in terms of to evaluate whether he stays? And the same, I guess, it could be said for Mike Zimmer, and the team has been playing better under Cooper Rush. And if not for that one punt snafu, they could be on a win streak with a chance to put a steer in the 7th-seeded Commanders that they've already beaten. But it sure sounds like Jerry's leaning towards keeping him. This is what he had to say on 105.3 The Fan about Zimmer and Mike McCarthy.
I think you're seeing the best of Mike Zimmer. And maybe, I shouldn't say that. You're beginning to see some of the best, but maybe the best is still ahead of us. But he's been real impressive now, putting that defense together with the attrition that we've had with availability with our players. So I give him that. Mike, I don't know how you cannot say that his team has shown that they'll handle adversity, and he can get you there with the injury situation impacting the availability of those players. I hate to keep repeating that, but it's so obvious, and yet have that team playing at the level it's playing. So, I give them both high grades this year.
Here's the issue. Yes, they have played better, and this is the time when you want to see who's trying hard, and the fact that they are trying hard does reflect well on the coaching. It's just how'd it go when the season wasn't over and the starters were in there?
Terribly.
Just blown
This
out
just
at
in,
home.
you know what I mean?
Routinely,
And Cowboy season shouldn't be about, they're plucky and playing with moxie when the season's essentially done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not what Cowboy seasons are about. But that said, they are playing better, and that may have something to do with whether they're kept or not. I'm curious to hear what Cowboys fans think, but the bottom line is when you hear that, it's like, great. But when the season wasn't toast and their starters were in there and Dak's hamstring was on the bone and CeeDee Lamb was there without his shoulder injury and Micah Parsons was there before he went out and Tank Lawrence was there before he went out and so on and so forth, how'd it go? Not so great. And this is the evaluation the Cowboys are going to have in the next 3 weeks. But they have played better, and you do have to give it up. You have to give your flowers to them in that regard.
Too much, too little, too late.
Yep.
Maybe so.
quarterback controversy. I mean, Cooper
Oh,
Rush.
stop it. We're not going down that road again. How about this one, though? Kudos to Shannon and RJ, who are the hosts of the 105.3 The Fan conversation. One of them, I don't know who, decided to, for whatever reason, ask Jerry Jones about the
Raccoon.
Xavier Leggett. He's the Carolina Panthers wide receiver, and maybe it's just leading up because the Cowboys just spanked the Panthers. I don't know, but Leggett, who sounds like an extra from The Water Boy, as anybody knows, from South Carolina, talked about eating raccoon and the delicacy, and Jerry was asked by the hosts if he's ever tried raccoon. Roll tape.
I've eaten a lot of raccoon.
I've eaten a lot of raccoon.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
And I've eaten it. I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful, and my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I, they were just, my sister and I as far as siblings, my mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man.
And delicious, seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Holy bullwinkle.
Delicious, seriously.
Now, please tell me we have.
Oh,
Was
yes.
that a new drop?
We have
How many drops did we get out of
We
this?
got
You
three
got
out
lots
of
of
this.
drops out of
Let's
this.
go in order.
All right.
Hit one.
One of my favorites is squirrel.
Okay. Give me another one.
I've eaten a lot of raccoon.
Okay. And give me another one.
Delicious, seriously.
Okay.
I mean, he has
I don't
now
know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
He's-
17, 19, 20, 21, 20.
Wow, we have over 20 drops.
Here's what happened.
24 drops.
Jerry heard that we were, leaning at Mike Tomlin as our favorite drops on
Yeah,
the show,
yeah,
and Jerry's like,
yeah.
"Oh my,
I can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog. You might not like.
Certainly,
Hold
if
my
there's-
Walker
if there's
Blue and,
squirrel brains.
oh, what?"
One of my favorites is squirrel.
So Jerry Jones's squirrel brains. Mm-hmm. Is that a new fantasy team?
man.
Jerry's squirrel brains.
Wow,
I've eaten a lot of raccoon.
Okay.
wow.
I don't know how we're going to use these drops, but
Squirrel brain.
105.3 The Fan. You never
Settle
know.
down just a little bit.
what
Slow down just a little
sort
bit.
of gumbo you're going to get.
There is less pie.
Okay. And now there's raccoon and squirrel.
Oh, boy.
How about that?
How about
Squirrel
that?
brain.
Now, what were you saying?
Good old squirrel brain, Jerry Jones. Already good people, as always. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I know it's been a tough season. It's been a tough, long season, and not the season that we had hoped. But maybe, just maybe, this is the wake-up call that, the Joneses have had so much luck staying relevant every season without really trying throughout Dak Prescott's career that maybe this is the wake-up call to let them know we got to do things differently. As always, I appreciate you guys. Peace out.